All right. So, Confucianism. What are the differences between Confucianism and Neo-Confucianism? So there are two types of Confucianism that we're going to be going over and for your essential question and also for the summary at the end of your notes. You need to be able to tell me the difference between the two. All right, and this here in the middle, that's a symbol for Confucianism. Let's get started. So Confucianism is based on the teachings of Confucius, and we will watch a video about the life of Confucius at the end of this slideshow. We'll watch that live in class. So it's based on the teaching of Confucius. This is Confucius right here. And it's basically focused on ethics and proper behavior. So you want to, this is like well-mannered people of society, a good human being, a strong member of society. You want to make sure that these people are very responsible. So that all of the teachings are focused on how to properly behave in society. People should conduct their lives based on two basic principles. This is Ren and Li. So these are your vocabulary terms. Ren, concern for others, meaning you don't always concern about yourself first. You want to make sure people around you, your family, people in your social circle, people around you are well taken care of as well. So it's showing compassion and empathy for those around you. And Li, appropriate behavior. So you are acting appropriately, well-mannered. These two principles are really what Confucianism revolves around, Ren and Li. After Confucius's death, ideas spread, but they were not widely accepted. So even though like Islam spread, some people took to it, some people didn't, some people kept their own religion, some people converted. Confucianism was more of this idea, and some people really liked the idea, and then some people didn't really buy into it. Like, why should I be concerned with others? I need to take care of myself first. So even though these ideas spread, some people bought into it and some people didn't. By the Han Dynasty, Confucianism was the official state philosophy. So this is not a religion, this is a philosophy, this is an idea. This is what their government is eventually going to be based off of. But I want to make very clear, Confucianism is not a religion. A lot of people think it is, and a lot of people are very confused about that. Confucianism is not a religion, it is a philosophy. A philosophy is an idea that you base your life off of. So during the period of disunion, we studied this in 7.1, Confucianism was overshadowed by Buddhism because Buddhism was so new and Buddhism was more, it is a religion, and it was more of this idea where everything was very peaceful. And during a time of disunion when there were many civil wars, people just wanted that peace. Confucianism is an idea you really need to work hard towards, where Buddhism was this like meditative state of mind that really just made you calm and peaceful in these really, really hard times of civil war. Buddhism focused more on the spiritual outlook to escape the suffering. So it's more spiritual, more religious, more inner being than Confucianism is. So here's where we get to Neo-Confucianism. So there's two kinds of Confucianism. We just learned about the first one. Now Neo-Confucianism is going to be a little bit different. Under the Song Dynasty, Neo-Confucianism emerged. Neo means new. So this is the new kind of Confucianism. Neo-Confucianism emphasized behavior and spiritual matters. So it's actually blending together these philosophical and spiritual ideas. So it's bringing together the two things that are most prominent in society at this time during ancient China is the idea of spiritual and philosophical. So it's going to blend those two things together. And it's going to become the official government philosophy of the Song Dynasty. So, I'm sorry, after the Song Dynasty. So they're really taking some of the Buddhist spiritual aspects and the Confucianism philosophical aspects and blending them together to make it more widely accepted. Scholar officials in the Song dynasty, more workers could join the bureaucracy. A bureaucracy is a body of unelected government officials. So these are people that volunteered to be part of the government, but there are specific things that you needed to do. You couldn't just be anybody who volunteered to be part of the government. You had to be of a certain standing in society. They had to believe that you had a certain type of intelligence, that you were a well-rounded person. Usually you followed some sort of Confucianism, either Neo or Old Confucianism, that you were just a well-mannered, well put together, concerned for others. So you were following all of those Confucius ideas. So scholar officials had to take this thing called a civil service exam. So here is where it gets interesting. Civil service exams is something that anybody could take in order to get a job in the government. But these tests were extremely high level and difficult. The civil service means to serve as a government official. In order to do this, you have to take the civil service exam and you have to pass. So students would spend many, many years studying for this test. Only the top 2% passed. So let's say out of 100 people who took this test, 2 would pass the test. That is how hard this test was. So passing meant becoming a scholar official or an educated member of the government. So they looked, it was almost like a status that you had. Like you passed this exam that very few other people could pass. And you were looked at in society as a very high member of society because you were very well educated. Scholar officials were elite members of society, as I just said. And it helped ensure that very talented and intelligent people were becoming scholar officials. They wanted to make sure that the people were not only well-rounded, well-respected, that they respected others, and that not only all those things, but that they actually were intelligent members of society that were able to make educated decisions, that they weren't their decisions for the government weren't emotional based. They wanted it to be very intellectual based. So they wanted to make sure that these people were making well-informed decisions. So at this point, depending on when I see you, either Wednesday or Thursday in class, we're going to watch the life of Confucius. It kind of tells you the background about who this philosopher was and why they created this entire government philosophy around the teachings that he did during his lifetime. And you'll add to your notes. You'll see a blank section on your notes for this. As usual, make sure you mark up your notes. You add questions in the questioning column, like who was Confucius? What were Confucius's teachings? What does it take to become a scholar official? Any of those questions would work really well in the questioning column. And then you're going to answer the question, the essential question in your summary. What were the differences between Confucianism and Neo-Confucianism? So you're going to tell me the difference there. So the next thing is